Okay, I'm back, everybody. Want to support the channel? Hit my email description, and you see my email, and I'll mail you one out. Yeah, man, I'm back with a video, man. This one's kind of a request. I had a couple people, a while back. I haven't got a chance to get around to doing it, but wanted to me to talk about my first aid setup. My first aid setup. So I decided I'd do a video on that real quick and talk about those things, see what we got. And yeah, so it was asking me about first aid kits and IFAKs and things of that nature. So I decided, let me go ahead and do a video on that. And this is going to be a long video. I ain't going to lie, because it's a lot of stuff. And that was the reason why I kind of was not really getting ready to do it, because, when you're talking about first aid, you can't really, what do you call it? Like hurry it, because you'll miss some stuff. And I decided, like, man, let me just wait till I get some time, and then I'll go ahead and do the video. And I'm trying to get this camera angle. My shit's all messed up. But yeah, so I decided, well, let me go ahead and do it. So let me get right down into it and just start off so I'm gonna put a few first aid kits out here, and then we'll break them down. Everyone's seen a first aid kit that looks something like this, but I'm gonna show you what I did different with that. That's a standard first aid kit, but we can do more to it. This is an IFAK right here. Now I have IFAKs on all my setups, my chest rig, plate carrier, all that kind of stuff. I got my range belt. I got individual IFAKs on all those. So these are, so to speak, mobile / multi-use first aid kits, IFAKs. And then this is my what do you call it? First responder kit that stays in the primary vehicle that we have, and then if we switch vehicles, that always goes to the vehicle that we're in right here. Whereas each vehicle has one of these, and then this is an individual IFAK for my go bag, and when I just go to the range when I don't bring my range belt. So, and we'll get into this tool later too. So these are a couple items. So the person that was asking these questions, I hope you see this video. I hope it's educational, and you can come back and watch this video. And anybody who is also curious on IFAKs or whatever, you can watch this video and hopefully you can learn something. I'm not saying this is, like I said, this ain't no Navy SEAL, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6 setup. This is just basically just an average guy trying to be prepared in case something goes wrong, so to speak. So it could be better, but it's good enough for me. So let's get into it real quick. And then, like I said, if you want to get more information about pretty much anything to deal with medical equipment and stuff like that, I suggest go by these guys' channel right here, White Side Tactical Solutions. They do a great job, and very informative, and they can teach you up a lot of stuff right there. They actually came onto on my channel. That's how I found them, and said, hey man, keep pushing that first aid stuff. So yeah, go by White Side Tactical, and I'll put the channel description in the link. But let's get into it. It's going to be a long video. So let's see. So what you got right here is these are all over the place. You can go on Walmart, Walgreens, basically almost a damn near 7-Eleven, pick up one of these, and 100 pieces. You can go on Amazon and grab these. But the thing is, I upgraded it. So the stuff they put in here, in my opinion, is a little bit inferior. It has basic little cuts and scrapes, just kind of like the little soccer mom, soccer dad, first aid kit. So I took a lot of stuff out. So let's go ahead and break it out. Like I said, it's going to be a long video. So let's see what I got up in here. And it usually comes with some basic stuff like Band-Aids and whatnot. The case is kind of, it's not, well, I'm not going to trash stuff, but it's not really the most, like, what do you call it, like, durable case. The snaps are kind of, not so strong, and, stuff can go, see how this coming off already. See, so it's not really made for doing some crazy stuff, and you can put some basic information up in here if you want. It has one of these cards in here, stuff like that, and it has a basic first aid I'm just going over all this because somebody may not know this. And you know, I'm first aid CPR ready, but you know, this is some information right here for you. Teach you how to basically give you a little ground, you know, basis on how to handle certain symptoms and how to treat the symptom. Because that's all you're doing until you can get to 911 to a, you know, somebody with professional skills. So you got that in there. That's very useful. That's why I kept it in there. And then basically I have like some first aid, you know, 4 plies. This is non-woven. You will know the difference is woven and non, and it's a difference because certain wounds will stick to the woven. So these are really, really good. So I'm going to go over that. I got a couple of these. I always put a few of them in case I got to use it and let somebody use it. And, you know, then you have more backup as a 4-ply. So I got a few of these up in there. Then I got some of these non-sterile, sterile adherent pads. So it's a cut. You just cleaned out the wound and then you want to put a nice clean pad on. That's what these are for. So I got some of those up in there. And I'm going to keep going through this stuff right here so we could, everybody can get an idea of what's going on here. So I got some of those pads up in there. Let's see here. Got some of those up in there. And then, let's see, same thing. It's going to be a lot of duplicates, but that's what you want. And this is an abdominal combine pad. This is in case you got a wound on the stomach area or right there. And it's a little thicker. And, you know, these are really good to have. All right. And you got a burn dressing. Very essential, especially with guns, because, you know, the guns get hot and the magazine cartridges, the shells get hot, might burn on your neck or something like that, drop down your shirt. And so it's good to have that in your hands, especially if you're dealing with suppressors a lot. These cold instant compress, I think this came in here, you know, is what it is. Ice always is better. Little bottle of hydrogen peroxide for a cut, keep it, clean it out and get you to the next step. You got these compress, and these are versatile. These can be used to stop bleed. You got an open gash and you need to stop that bleed quickly. You can just shove this in there. You can use those many ways. You have a triangular bandage. Nice to have those on deck. Okay. And then you have eye pad in case something might get something in eye injury. Got a couple eye pads. And you have a adhesive wound dressing right here, different sizes. So when you grab and stuff, make sure you look at the wound and use the proper pad for the size. You don't want to, you know, waste your equipment. And then this one is, I think this actually came in it. Butterfly closure. You got other Band-Aids, things of that nature. Band-Aids, pretty self-explanatory Band-Aids. You have an emergency blanket. This could be used in several ways, you know, heat, you know, you got somebody that's going into shock, stuff like that. Yeah, just good to have an emergency blanket. Nothing wrong with that either. You got gloves, a couple of popsicle sticks if you got to look down someone's throat, or it could be used for a lot of other things. Now you get down to like little stuff like this, little Q-tips, you know, then you just start stuffing things in there you think you might need. Eye wash. Yeah, this is eye wash right here. Then you start getting to all this kind of stuff where you just kind of like, now you're trying to fill in the space and just think, what else can I get in here? And then you just keep shoving. Gauze pad, you know, a couple of those. And then you got the smaller ones. Like I said, if it's a small cut, you don't need to use a big giant 4x4. You can use a 2x2. Okay, so you got that. And then this part, you got a bunch of miscellaneous stuff like, what is this? Triple antibiotic, little individual usage. Again, small little cut, little wound. Hand this to somebody. Go ahead, squirt that on there. Wrap it with a Band-Aid. You good to go. And this is just a compartment full of random size Band-Aids. And you do have some single-use hand sanitizer, more Band-Aids, different sizes, big sizes. You got antiseptic wipes. So you can get a lot in here, but you want to have stuff that matters. Antibiotic ointment, okay. Little roll of tape right there. So it's a lot you can get up in here. You got some alcohol preps. Okay, and then you have the finger gloves, finger knuckle gloves, in case you cut yourself and you want to wrap it. So these are good to have around. You get a cut on your finger, clean it up, and you can put this on here and keep going until you get to the next step to clean yourself up. So that's what I got up in this one. I'm gonna try to hurry and put this back up in here because it's gonna be a pain putting this all back in here when I finish this video. So just bear with me. I'm gonna stick this all back in as fast as I can without slowing down the video. But that's what I got up in this one, and I hope that helps someone. There's quite a bit, and like I said, you know, some of this might be like hand sanitizer, might not be a big deal, but for somebody it might be a big deal. So I keep a little bit of everything in here. Never know what you might need or when you might need it. And yeah, this is good to have. So let me go ahead and shove all this up in here as quickly as I possibly can. And you guys see that. So that's, I just want to share that part. Let you guys see how, you know, you can take these little kits like this and then you can transform them into a really, really solid kit. Real solid kit. You just gotta be kind of strategic of what you're gonna put in here. Like, do you really need this? Do you really need that? You know, and some of this stuff is, you know, may seem redundant, but under stress, when someone said, oh, do you have this? Do you have that? And you'll be shocked. Like, it ain't gonna be redundant then. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you think that you may not need, you probably do need it. You know, that's the way first aid works. Like, people think like, oh, I won't need that, I won't need that. And then the thing that you take out is the thing that you will actually need. And that is crazy when it comes to first aid. Like, someone might say, oh, I don't need no Band-Aid or whatever. And then as soon as you get out there, you cut yourself. And then it's like, damn, anybody got a Band-Aid? You know, so it's a really interesting concept with first aid and the mind games that it plays on you. Like, do I really need this? And then, you know, sure enough, yeah, you do need it. So, and this can fit all up in here. You just gotta work it and dangle it. Once you get it all in there, the good thing about it, if you never need it, then you don't really care. But if you need it and use some of it, you have to replace it, and that's a kind of a good bad thing, as long as the person didn't, you know, lose their life. But you can always replace the stuff that you pulled out. So it's good to take a little inventory and open up some Band-Aids and stuff and see if they dried out and stuff like that. And then that way you will know, like, okay, these Band-Aids are good. But some stuff will, if you have it in the car and it's hot weather. A lot of these cheap Band-Aids and stuff, they're not designed to be sitting in your car because you notice when you go into an office building that's in a cool building, see, it all gets back in there. It's all in a cool building and an excellent temperature zone. So they do last a long time if they're in that kind of controlled environment. But in the back of your truck, your car, for, you know, year in, month out, 100-degree weather, some of this stuff can dry out. Anything that got moisture inside of it, like alcohol preps and Band-Aids and stuff like that. So that's one of them. Now let's go into, oh, forgot to put that in there. I'll put that in a second. So now let's go to the individual IFAK. Now this case right here off top, someone's gonna ask, where'd you get that from? It's off Amazon. I don't buy expensive IFAK cases. Like I said, I'm not being slung out of a helicopter, drugged by my harness, hooked onto a hook, getting drugged by a tank. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not gonna be running down 30 flights of stairs and tumbling and you know, all that. This is just a standard little IFAK case. It's probably pretty durable. It is water resistant, not waterproof. So if things in here you don't want to get wet, I say double it up with a Ziploc bag. But water will just run off of it. But if you submerge it in water, I'm sure water will get through. It's not that great of a, it's not that durable and strong. You know, it has drainage ports for dust and stuff like that. But so I want to answer that quickly. It's not waterproof, water resistant. Now, I usually, when I buy these IFAKs, I make sure it has a medical placard right there, and these are Velcro, so you can buy them individually. If they don't come with one, you can buy these medical crosses and put them on there. And the first thing you'll see is a tourniquet. You want that accessible right there, tourniquet. And tourniquets are very important. And this is primarily gun oriented, but it's some stuff in here that can be used in a practical civilian world, like, you know, even at sporting events, stuff like that. But it's designed more for like if you're handling firearms. So you got a tourniquet, and I suggest get a pretty nice, decent tourniquet with a metal rod. So the plastic ones, the black ones that come with the plastic one, I've seen demonstrations where they break in half. This is not going to break in half. And you want to put a Sharpie or a pen there so you can mark the time when you actually apply the tourniquet. And that time, I would suggest putting it in military time. So if it's 6 a.m., wherever you at, put 0600, that's universal. If it's 1 p.m., wherever you at, put 1300 hours, that's universal. But if you just put 6 a.m., how we don't know what region of the country you are? You see what I'm saying? If you put 1 p.m., how we gonna know what region of the country you are? So if you put military time, the medical EMTs, everybody knows. And then if another little tidbit, if you got the victim down there while you're there, ask them what their blood type is and just write O positive or AB negative, and that way you just basically help the EMTs on two major things. You told them what time you're gonna put that tourniquet, what time you put that tourniquet on, and then you told them what his blood type is. That's huge right there. So yeah, have a tourniquet, several of them in all your kits, and gun belts and all that stuff. That should be a must, a tourniquet. Now, this could be attached to a plate carrier, a backpack, whatever, because you got the Molly system right here with snap on, feed it through, and you can rock this anywhere you want. Put it on your belt pants. That's why I like this one. Okay, so let's go ahead. And then this also has, I can't do it because I'm holding it, but if this was actually on a body, on your person, nice and attached, really sturdy, you could just pull this down. It ain't gonna work now because the way I'm doing it. You can just pull this down, and then that'll just rip right open like that. It's a ripper away. That's what that tongue is right there. So let's go inside of it real quick. Now, a lot of things in here are in Ziplocs because, like I said, this is gun oriented, and I don't want to get caught in a situation where I'm in the rain or getting wet, and then all your stuff is gonna get soaked if you have to cross a creek or a river. Who knows? Or you got to just hunker down by a tree with no umbrella. You would like to know that your medical equipment is not going to get soaked. So let's go ahead. We're going to start wherever I put my hand at. So I got in here. We have a, what is this? This looks like eye wash. Yeah, this is eye wash. I think this is eye wash right here. Always going to have eye wash, especially when you're talking about dealing with guns. But eye wash is good to have even when you hunt or just hiking or whatever. It's just good to have something to wash your eye out. So I got eye wash, two different sizes of gauzes, 4-inch and 2-inch. You want to always make sure you use the appropriate inch feet you need for wherever the wound is. Like I said, these, you got an open gash. Don't worry about unwrapping it. Just shove it in there, pack it up in there, and then that'll soak it all up and stop that bleed. Look at it as a tampon. You know what I mean? And that's why some people carry tampons in their hiking and rucksacks and gears. And I know people laughing right now, but it's not a funny matter. Tampons are designed to absorb blood, so they're a cheap way, and they come in sticks, so they're very practical when it comes to like jamming and packing wounds. I've seen videos where people have to actually use tampons in emergency, and some people just actually pack them intentionally because of what I just said. The way they're cylinders, and they're small, and they're inexpensive. These gauze little things where, hey, once you start building your IFAC, you'll see, man, a lot of the stuff you're looking at is very expensive, man. And like I said, when you use it, you got to replace it. So don't think that FIirst Aid is cheap, and that's why you want to get on this stuff now before it drives the price up. And here I got some black nitrile gloves, and I got some little antacid tablets, and what else I got up in here? Ibuprofen, acetaminophen, stuff like that. That's what those are up in there. I can open that up. It's not necessary. What we got right here, just cotton tip applicators, which is another word saying Q-tips. These are very good to have. Okay, another definitely gun-related item you want to have a few of them is chest vent. These are chest seals. These are really good to have. Someone gets shot in the chest, you put this thing on there, stop that bleed, help them out till the EMTs get there, or till you get to in town to emergency situation. What we got up in here, little bags of stuff with a little random stuff. So you got some earplugs, just random, like I said, it's more earplugs. Got a blanket, okay. Oval eye patch. Always want to have some kind of eye patches, especially dealing with guns and anything else too. Got about, I got a few of them up in here. Yeah, about 4 or 5 of them in here. You got, what is this? These are strips to test their temperature in their body, I believe, and then it'll turn a certain color. I can't remember. Don't want to quote you on that. And this is another type of bandage seal in case of an open wound or something like that. So you got to have a lot of random little things like this. And like I said, it don't make sense when you're at home in your air-conditioned house watching Jeopardy, eating a bowl of popcorn. But your ass is out there and some bad shit pop off, and man, you'd be like, wow, I'm glad I had that. And you always want to have a little pair of trauma shears, just something to cut the clothing off, or after you basically wrap someone up and then you gotta cut it off to refreshen their bandage, whatever. These is good for that, and definitely clothing. Okay, trauma shears must have. That's not an option. You need to have trauma shears in your IFAK. Okay, so now let's go to this side. In this bag we have, you got Stop the Bleed. So this is Stop the Bleed. This is like a powder compound. Stops bleeding in seconds, and you just dump this on the wound and pack it in there. And this is just basically stop that bleed so you can get them to 911 gets there, or you can get them to the hospital yourself. So these couple packs of these. Like I said, these chest seals and Stop Bleed are critical with a tourniquet. If you just had those 3 alone, as far as your range IFAK go, you'll be ahead of the game. Also, I have a Quick Clot. This is another bandage thing, but it stops the bleeding a little faster, they say. Again, I've never used any of this, thank God. Don't plan on using it, don't want to use it, but I just want to have it. And so the Quick Clot is 2 feet, and you can use this to stop the bleed too. It's basically a clotting gauze, and a lot of them are clotting gauzes, but some just they manufacture it with more intensity, R&D, and they can say, hey, mine does it faster because they probably sat there with animal blood and tested it pretty well, you know what I mean? Okay, and then what we got here, adhesive wounds again. We've seen this in the other eyes. You'll see some of this is a repeat, but that's what you need. And these are different sizes, 3x3, 6x7 centimeters, and this is by inches. So, you want to use the appropriate size again. Just don't be grabbing your stuff and just, kind of be smart about it. And, some people would probably label these bags, what's inside it, so they can look and say, oh, I got this, I got that. That's something I haven't gotten around to. Maybe put a piece of paper in there with each thing itemized, like what you got in there. That way when you can look at it, you don't have to open it and scramble through it. But I kind of have a good idea myself. But it's just something to think about, Anytime you can make it faster, because you might be the victim. So this might be your stuff. But if someone found this on your body and, they wouldn't know what to do. So you kind of want to have like a legend for them, so to speak. What we got here at antiseptic towels, all kind of random stuff, burn cream, Band-Aids, just same run-of-the-mill stuff. A lot of little stuff that you just kind of want to have. You have different Band-Aids. Like I said, you got little individual burn creams. And yeah, so that's what you got in that one. And I got, like I said, this is definitely a gun-related one. This was another one that had the wound pads and trauma pads like that. Okay, so, and you have gauzes in here. Again, this is going to be more directed to stopping the bleed. So we want to make sure you have plenty of that. You never know how bad the wound is and how much the person is dropping blood. And we all know we don't have that many pints of blood. So Stop the Bleed gauzes and Stop the Bleed packets and things of that nature are really Quick Clot and stuff like that is really, really important when you're messing around with firearms, because there's going to be a lot of blood drops more than likely with a firearm discharge into a human. So let's move this out the way. I'm not going to put that back together because it's going to take too long. So let's get to the first responder bag. And this one I'm going to cheat and touch upon a few things. I'm not going to go through every individual thing. But the main thing with the first responder bag, you want to have something that's going to have like some kind of like strap like this so you can put around your waist. So if you got to bend over and help someone, this can stay on your waist and you can sling this around to the front of your body and then start open up the zippers and operating in that format versus just laying on the ground. Because you might have to get out the way. You might be in traffic on the freeway and you might have to move. So that's the first thing. And you want something reflective, so that way when you're on the road, like I said, this is a first responder bag. This is like if you're in town on the freeway or something like that, and you see something go on, you wouldn't want to be walking through the woods with this if you was being stealth with a big ass reflector on there. But it's something that I keep in my vehicle, my primary car. And I don't have one built for each car, but I have one for our house. So this is a first responder. So you want to have it reflective on there, and you want something where you can strap, and you want to have a carabiner in case you're in the woods or in someone's backyard and you're near a fence. You can just clip this on the fence, and then clip this on the fence, hang it, and then you can operate out of the bags, and you can be hands free. So what we have in here, let's start with the little zipper right here. First one on this side. There's two little pouches here, and what's inside of here is really critical. If you're by yourself or you need help, a lot of times you might be jogging or walking through the woods and you see something, you run in the car, and oh, I got this is the wrong side, but this side I got earplugs in here, and I got hand sanitizer, individual hand sanitizer on that side. So you can set up how you want. So I got that on that side, and on this side, I think I only have one thing. Yeah, one thing in here, and this is my whistle. This thing even blow? There we go. So yeah, you want to hang that whistle on your neck when you get to the victim, and then just blow the whistle if you need help, if you're by yourself, and things of that nature. And if you've got to clear traffic, you can get this to the person to clear traffic, and then things of that nature, okay? You want to have a whistle, very important. Sounds like it doesn't matter, but it's a big deal. Okay, then let's keep it moving. In this front pouch, I believe this is where you're going to find your trauma shears at. You're going to see a repeat of a lot of stuff that's already in my other kits, but it's important. I got an ink pen, a Sharpie, and I have a pen light. Uh-oh. This battery, see, that's why you want to test your gear out. No, I got a AAA battery. I got to put a battery up in here. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So like I said, AAA battery. Man, I have to go fix this right now because I don't want to get caught my pants down on this. Yeah, so I got a brand new AAA battery. Put this in there. You want to have a pen light. Even though I gotta have one, I'm gonna have one in my pockets. I carry one all the time, but it's nice to have this in the kit. Case again, you have to hand this to someone and they have everything they need. So now let's see. There we go. So you want to have an operable pen light up in there. Okay, so we got the pen light. Good, you can see it through the bag too, so that's good to know. So now you know that if it's on or not. So now you got that part. Now let's go ahead and open up this part right here. Now this is overstuffed, by the way. This is completely overstuffed because I like to have extra kits in case I have to use it. Then I know I have backup already instead of having to reload it again. Now I got another tourniquet right here, and I got this one already unraveled in case you use it. And this has a nice metal rod. That one's gonna work good. And I already have my Sharpie to mark my time in case of emergency. Got a digital thermometer, just random stuff. I got some first aid waterproof tape. Make sure when you buy this, you get waterproof, okay? All right, I got a splint right here, okay? I got glucose in case someone's diabetic, sugar is low, things of that nature, some pads to absorb blood. Got a micro shield for a mouth barrier. What we got right here, antimicrobial hand wipes, just hand wipes basically. Let's see what we got here. More hand wipes. We have gauzes, stop bleed. I think this is eye wash again. Yep, eye wash. You're gonna see a theme of a lot of the same stuff. Got a triangular bandage. This is all stuff that I got in my first responder. You've seen these already before. Abdominal pad. I got some chest seals. So I got chest seals up in here. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put one in this other kit right here, but not necessary because this is gonna be in the car with it anyway. So you got chest seals. These are very important. Like I said, when you start building these kits out, you're gonna see they're expensive. That's why a lot of people don't have them. And this is just a little book, little first aid, little pamphlet. If someone wants to actually, that's why I got pens in here so they can write down what's going on. Little surveys, sort of like a little triage sheet. Airway, breathing, circulation, and spine, all that kind of stuff. Distress, and just basically a way You can write this down before EMTs get there and they ask questions. You can already have something for them already. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Responses to voice, yes or no. Response to pain, yes or no. Skin signs, color, temperature, all that kind of moisture. So it's some really good stuff on this pad, and I decided to leave that in there just for that. Another ad pad right there. What's this? This is another pack just full of pads. Just want to have a lot of pads, man, in case you ain't noticing. Stuff to stop the bleed. This is kind of a multi-pack thing. Non-stick pad, glucose, iPad, Band-Aids, little gouges, stop the bleed. So it's got a little bit of everything up in here in this one. And you got some nitrile gloves. And this is a blood pathogen pack right here. So in case you had to put the biohazard waste away, and people know this is biohazard, don't throw it in the garbage. And these little things that I like, got those. So I just throw all that in there. It doesn't have to be special. Like I said, this is an overstuffed situation here. You want more than just enough. How about that? You don't never want to just have just enough. You want to have more than what you actually think you need. More than what you think you need is the key word there. Okay, so let's see if we can shove this up in here at an expedient rate where it doesn't take up too much more time. And again, when you buy this stuff, try to get stuff that's by reputable companies, not just, you can go off Amazon, but don't go off of them for like maybe all your gear, your equipment. Like go to a real prepper store or a reputable medical company that distributes medical equipment like Centos or Equate or these companies that you see I'm rolling with. And they'll trust me. They'll work with you because they are. One thing about people in first aid, they are always eager to help people learn about first aid. It's not like other fields where people try to hold the information and they want to hoard it and not help people out. First aid, they are always willing to help. Now, see this one, another first aid. See, I got two of those. In case something gets used, someone has to roll and take it. I got another one already in there. Okay. Same with this, another pouch with, see the theme? Everything's kind of double up. You want a lot of the stuff that you need and not a bunch of stuff that you don't need. These just stop the bleed pads, gouges, just pads, just full of pads. I got some snap stick, glow sticks, in case it's night on the side of the freeway. And I got 2 roll flares in each one of my cars too. So I got these little snap sticks. These are good to have, okay? Now this one is kind of chock full with a lot of stuff. You got your eye wash right here. It's a bigger side of the other side. So this is kind of like a backup side. Burn spray. Okay, then you got, what you got up in here? Instant cold compress, antiseptic towels, eye dressing, foil blanket, nitrile gloves, safety glasses, burn spray again. So you got a lot of stuff up in here that can get the job done, that can be very helpful under a stressful situation. And like I said, if you jump out of a car, if you see a car on fire on the freeway, or if you see a bad accident and you just want to be a good Samaritan like I have done, I've responded to many car accidents before in my life, and I will continue to do that. And you jump out with this, man, you're going to feel very confident that you can help someone. It's one thing to jump out and help someone, and you can't really help them, if that makes sense. What can you do for them? If you're going to stop and help, then you should be able to have some basic first aid knowledge, and you should be able to have some type of first aid equipment on you to be an assistant to the victim. Because otherwise, you just keep them company till they die or till they bleed out. So try to think about, if that was you on the side of the road, or in a grocery store parking lot, and you see a person passed out, laid out, sprayed out, ego, and everybody's like, "Oh, what's going on? We call 911. We're waiting for them to get here." And while they're waiting, the person's bleeding out because you don't even have stop bleed. You don't have a chest seal or whatever you may need. You don't have nothing that can stop the bleed. All you got is just like, hang in there. We're calling the police right now. And we call the ambulance. They're on their way now. And that's that's great, man, because you know you're helping someone. You're with that person, and I'm not trying to knock you for that. You're with them, and you know you're showing some type of compassion by staying with them to the EMS get there. But let's be real. What are you really doing to help the situation? Like when you know if you'd have had a few items on you, you know you probably could have done more. You know, and if they make it out alive because you stayed there with them because you called 911, well, that's fine and dandy. That's good. I'm not saying call 911 is not a good thing. 911 is probably the most important thing. But I think we have to start now looking out for each other in a way of like, okay, what else can I do besides, you know, just calling 911? And I think sometimes people don't want to get involved for a lot of reasons because they're like, oh, what if I do chest pumps or I do CPR and, you know, I puncture her chest and she dies and things that night. That's true. There's people have been sued because the victim, family members, whatever, felt like you didn't administer CPR correctly. And if you would have just left them alone and waited for, you know, 911 to get there, they would have lived. But now you don't went up in there and did too much, so to speak, and now they lost their loved ones because of your incompetence on first aid. So yeah, I can see why someone would be nervous, but that's why I say go take a first aid class. Go take a first aid class. Now I can tell you this: when you're doing CPR or any kind of first aid on someone and they got jewelry on them, you cannot remove their jewelry. Okay. Now I'm not gonna go too far in it, but there's been cases where people have been prosecuted for theft for removing jewelry and stuff like that. So I think the law says you can't remove a person's jewelry when you're doing first aid CPR. So that becomes an issue when you have to use an AED, because you know AEDs, they don't want you to have any metal around them. But again, you can make that decision that I removed it or pushed it to the side to save this person's life, as long as you make sure that their jewelry goes back with them. Okay, so. This is what I got for you guys, man. I know it's kind of a long video, but I just want to go over those things. And like I said, these 100 pieces, usually only like 10 are really worthwhile in there, okay? So when you buy these, take the best parts out of it and replace it with stuff that really makes sense, that could save a life. And then with the IFAC, this is more geared to like when you're handling firearms. So keep that in mind when you're building your personal IFAC to have what you when you go to the range, or you know you won't have it in your gear bag, your go bag. Make sure that joker is set up for like gunshot wounds, okay, amongst other things. And you want to have trauma shears and stuff like that, okay. And then this one is a first responder kit, and that's going to have a little bit of everything, and then it's going to have some extra stuff in it. And then that way you will be really ready to go, man. So anyway, man, sorry for the long video. Let me know what you guys think. And like I said, go by Whiteside Tactical, and they got some good information over there. You can find information everywhere. And you can just Google search first aid equipment and get it from a reputable company that got really quality stuff. And like I said, you'll be surprised how expensive all three of these kits are if you went and price it out right now yourself and see how much all these things cost. It is not cheap, but it's necessary. All right, man, I appreciate everybody stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe. Everybody stay blessed. Peace.